All right, I tie 3 different types of mayfly tails for my flies. I use golden pheasant, I use moose, and then I use turkey flats to tie a split tail that I think looks the most like an actual mayfly. The turkey flats look like this. You can get them at Hobby Lobby for $2. And I just simply take the feather and strip both sides from it and throw the excess away. I cut to the length I want, and then I put it on the hook like this. I have my thread where I want it. I've already got my little Mirage tinsel tag there, and I put it on the top a little bit toward me with 3 or 4 loose wraps, and then I go back. Then I take the second one that I already have prepared here. I put it right beside it and put it on there, 3 or 4 loose wraps. I pull them to the length I want, and then I go all the way down to the tail with fairly loose wraps. And when I go back up, after I get to the bend of the hook, I go back up, and then I have tighter wraps, pull hard. These things are easy to bend into shape. I cut that off right where I'm going to tie the post, and then I use EP fibers for the post. I use a fairly thick post because I like to be able to see it very easily. So I tie it right on top of the end of that turkey flat. Wrap it 7 times, and then I cut the butt, cover it up with thread. Then I wet the fibers, do a couple wraps in front, and then a couple wraps on top before I find the dubbing. I'm going to use the Orvis Spectra Blend Amber dubbing right now. So I like the superfine and gray and white, lots of different colors. It's basically the same fly that you can tie in all different colors. Just changing the dubbing. Wet my fingers, wrap it on, go down to the base, make 1 wrap, pull it as tight as I can, and then I go under the flat feathers 1 time, lift them up and go under, and then I wrap the dubbing up the shank all the way to the post. This body's not as tight as I like, but I'm trying to be quick. Make sure I get all that in front. And then a couple more wraps around the post before I turn it so I can make the post as strong as I like. I like to tie a couple half hitches in it as I go. That really helps to strengthen the post. And sometimes I have to cut off the excess that are going the wrong way. One more time, I'll go up and down the post. About that far, 1 more half hitch. And then I pick my feather. I'm using a whiting cape. I prefer the saddle, but the cape's what I've got this time. And I need to find one that's the right size for a size 11 fly. I like this fly in the bigger sizes. Strip a few of the barbs. Lay the feather right beside the post. Tie it on tight. Loose wraps at first actually, and then get tighter. Then I tie a half hitch, pull it really tight. Set my thread over here to the side, and I wrap up and then back down the post. Usually go up 2 or 3 times and then down twice for a total of about 5 or 6 wraps. People have different theories as to whether you need the fibers facing up or facing down. I don't think it matters. I think maybe the shiny side might make a little bit of difference, but not enough to worry about. Position it back the way most people tie it. Wet my fingers, pull the hackle back, go around, and I just tie it off at the front with a couple half hitches and then a real short whip finish. Sometimes I color the thread too with black or brown or whatever color I want. I think it's easier to see if I have a few wraps of brown or black around the hook eye. One more half hitch, and then a little tiny whip. Cut it off. Cut the post to length. Cut the feather. And usually before I cut the tails, I take my markers, if I'm gonna color the tails, and I pull these together, and then I use the markers to mark. I like to have little grizzly matching tails on here. Sometimes I use brown, sometimes I use brown and black. Then I cut it off. I'll trim a little bit of that excess here, but there's the complete parachute fly with the split tail.